Hi, I'm Jennifer Ferguson, owner of Artistic Painting Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to make these adorable flower pots. These are just some of the different samples that I've created in the past, and the one that we are going to do today is going to be this Christmas pot done with one of my holly stencils. So with this project, we are going to be using American Paint Company chalk, clay, and mineral-based paints to do all of our base coating. And we're going to be working with my flower pot stencils that are cut on this curve, so they make working on a tapered shape kind of fun and easy. So let me get ready for the project, and I'll be back in a minute. Well, I'm back. I'm all set up to start my project, and all we're going to start with is just a terracotta flower pot. You can get these anywhere. I think I found mine at Lowe's. And I'm using the 8.5 inch short pot, which is just a great size, and I found is a wonderful, wonderful size to just work on. And these all make such great gifts. They're just fun to do. So the first thing I always want to do when I get my pots is sand them and clean them. So when you buy them, you're going to find that they might have some rough spots on them or a few imperfections, and I just use 220 grit sandpaper and just sand those away, no big deal. And then always take a damp rag, damp sponge, and completely clean off the outside and inside surface. That way the pot's going to be clean and ready to paint. Now I've done all this ahead of time, so I've done my sanding and my cleaning, and now I'm just ready to paint. I always advise painting the base section of the pot first. That way you can hold on to the rim, and I'm going to use two different colors on here. So once the rim is, or the base is painted, then I can switch and turn around and paint the rim. So we're starting with American Paint Company, and I chose Home Plate to do my base color for the bottom of the pot. And I just hold on to it and like lean it on the rim section. That way you don't have to hold it the whole time. They can get a little heavy. So I'm just using a artist wash brush, and you can either use an artist brush or you could even use a foam brush, whatever you're most comfortable with. I'm starting on the bottom of the pot and I'm just going to smooth this out, make sure I have 100% coverage, and smooth out my brush strokes, and then go ahead and paint the whole base section. Now a trick that I've found that makes easy doing the two different colors is actually painting the base color up and onto the rim a little bit. So when we come back and paint the rim color, it'll be easy just to come right over the top of that and try to paint a nice straight edge. So anytime also we're using a light color over this deep terracotta, it will take a couple of coats of paint to get full opaque coverage. So I'm just going to go ahead and don't want you guys to sit here and watch me paint a pot the whole time. So I've done some prep. So this is how I'm going to start. I would let this completely dry, put on a second coat, and once that is done, then I'd be ready to start my rim. Now I've done some prep for this, so I could show you guys quickly how to do these without watching me doing nothing but paint. So this pot here has 2 coats on it, and now I'm actually ready to paint my rim section. And some of the pots I've done, I've painted the rim, and I paint it just into the inside edge of that rim, or paint all the way through it, depending on what you want to use it for. And I've chose Fireworks Red. Again, we're working with American Paint Company. And you can either use an artist brush or a foam brush for this. Sometimes I find it's a little easier to use the foam brush because you might be able to paint a straight line a little bit easier. And because I'm using a foam, I'm also going to be working off this paper plate so I can kind of dab my brush a little bit. And just kind of go slow and steady. And it doesn't have to be perfect. These are just fun and easy pots. can paint your rim color. Now once I get started on this, I will normally put my thumb through the base and hold on to the pot so that I can hold it pretty steady with one hand. And again, when I get close to the edge, just try to be real slow and steady. And then from here, I'm going to paint the outside. Like I said, I'm going to paint the inside, and I'm going to take the color down to that ridge that's on the inside. And that will be all of the color that I'm going to actually paint on the inside of this one. And again, I said I've done some prep so you guys don't have to sit here and watch me paint all through this video. And I actually have one that is all base coated and ready to stencil. Again, I was telling you that I was going to use my flower pot stencils for this project. And these are just wonderful designs that I've had cut on a curve so that they wrap around the tapered shape a lot easier instead of trying to work on a rectangular or square cut stencil. In the line there are, I think, 37 different patterns, so there's quite a few to choose from. Not only are they great on working on tapered shapes, but they're fun for furniture projects or any small surface that you're working on. What I tend to do is line up the stencils, and I've got overlay number 1 on the bottom closest to me so that I can figure out where I want to position this, and I can see the whole design while I'm doing it, so I know where the leaves are falling and where the berries are falling. And this is always easiest when you definitely have a dirty stencil to start with. So I'm going to take that down, and then I'll just release the top overlay. And my first overlay is in position and ready to use. So I'm going to switch to some Americana acrylics. They dry so fast and are easy for stenciling. And I'm going to do a little shading, so I'm actually going to use 2 different colors on this. And it looks like I need to get a fresh piece of tape. This is not wanting to stick real well there, so let me replace that. And with the art of stenciling, you're always going to do what's called a dry brush technique, and the dry brush technique is going to prevent you from bleeding underneath your stencil. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of paint as my pot rolls away here, and swirl it into my brush, and then I'm going to go over to this paper towel and I'm going to do what seems ridiculous and take 90% of it off. But this is what's considered a dry brush, so that when you are painting in the openings, nothing's going to run underneath the stencil. And because I'm doing 2 different colors, the first color is basically just to paint the whole shape in, and then I'll come back and shade with a deeper color. So you can use the swirling motion that I'm doing right now, or you can also do what's referred to as stippling and just pounce. I prefer to swirl, as you can tell. Gives you a nice soft finish. So once you have all the holly leaves stenciled, and I'm going to try to go across this really quick. I also try to teach everybody to always lift and look underneath your stencil so you can make sure that you're happy with what you've created before you remove the actual stencil completely. So I'll lift underneath here and take a peek and show, that we've got a lot of good color here, but now I'm going to come back and shade. So if I've kept my hand in position on that overlay, I can tape it right back down. Now I'm going to get a clean brush and pick up this darker green and come in here and do some shading. So I'm just randomly going to place this darker color here and there, not really putting a whole lot of thought behind it, just kind of a random swirling. And again, when you want to determine if you've got everything the way you want it, keep a hand in position and then peek. So now that you can see the holly has a little bit more depth and detail to it. Now this is what I did on the base section, and then I want to just show you how I'll line up the overlay when I'm getting ready for number 2. They have registration holes on them, but sometimes those are hard and tedious to have to mark. So if I put overlay 2 underneath and put overlay 1 on top, which that's faced you now, I can actually line these up just by looking through the stencil and lining up the holly leaves that I've already painted. And again, tape it in position and then just lift overlay number 1, and overlay number 2 is in position to start the holly leaves. I'm going to go ahead and just use the same red that I painted with, which is the fireworks red, and stencil in the berries. And just take a quick little peek, just so you can see, and simple, easy. Now some of the other things that I've done with these pots, just to continue with the fun, cute little whimsiness of them, is I have done the holly around the top of the rim, and instead of just trying to stencil the berries because I was on that really dark color, I've actually used an embossing tool, which is this tool here that just has a ball on the end, and it's great for picking up paint and making what I call la-di-da-dots. So I also have painted the saucer the same color as the rim, and how I place these, I'm just going to go ahead and put some on here so I can show you how I did this. I just pick up some paint and then just go ahead and tap the surface, and then you get a nice cute little raised dot so that you end up with some dimension and not everything is just flat. So that'll finish out to complete the saucer, and I don't think any of my flower pots are complete without making the ball knob feet for them. So here is a piece of foam that I've gotten from the florist section, which is a great way to hold on to the ball knobs. Now these ball knobs are actually flat on the bottom and already have a hole drilled into them. So I just use a cotton swab or Q-tip, and let's see, this one doesn't want to go back in, and put that in there so that it will hold it, and then you can put them into the foam so that they can dry. This is the best way I've ever found to paint these, okay? And again, I'm just going to use the embossing tool and just embellish them with making some of the dots. And the best way to attach the feet, I have found, is the E6000 glue. So once you have completed putting your la-di-da dots on there, you'll just put that back into the foam. And then when all those are done and dry, especially when I'm working with red, I have a tendency to let everything actually dry overnight and let the red kind of cure. I'm going to use the American Paint Company top coat, and I'm going to put a couple of coats on everything. I'm going to seal the completely inside and outside of the flower pot so that no matter what I'm using this for, I can kind of wipe it down and clean it. And once I have everything with the top coat, then I'll actually glue the ball knob feet to the base of the saucer, and your project is complete. I hope you enjoyed watching and that you will have as much fun as I have had over the years on making these flower pots. Check out the complete collection at artisticpaintingstudio.com and see the many options that you have. Great, thanks for joining me.